The story of life in Lithuania begins with the land itself. It starts deep in the countryside, in the quiet expanse of pine and birch forests that cover nearly a third of the nation. This is a world of small villages and isolated homesteads, where life is measured by the changing seasons, the mushroom harvest, and the long, dark winters. From the forests, the story moves across the gentle, rolling plains, the country's agricultural heartland. Here, life is tied to the rhythm of the harvest, to the vast fields of rye and wheat that have sustained the nation for centuries, and it finds its modern expression not on a coast, but in the urban centers that pull the country forward, where the majority of Lithuanians now build their lives. There is Vilnius, the capital, a city of Baroque beauty and glass towers, a hub of technology and government where the past and future exist on the same street. And Kaunas, the nation's historical heart, a city of proud identity, industry, and vibrant student life. And Klaipėda, the gateway to the Baltic Sea, a port city whose character is shaped by the wind and the water. Within this single landscape, the land dictates different paths. How does the elder from the forest village, the farmer from the central plains, and the young tech worker in the capital share this one, resilient and rapidly changing home? This is the story of Lithuania. The day in Lithuania begins not with a grand spectacle, but with a million small private moments. Before the sun is fully up, lights flicker on in the windows of Soviet-era apartment blocks and in the sleek new developments that ring the major cities. The sound of a nation waking up is the hum of a coffee machine, the quiet conversation of a family at the breakfast table, the scraping of ice from a car windshield on a cold morning. In Vilnius, the morning commute is a tide of people moving toward the city center. Trolleybuses glide through the streets, carrying office workers, students, and shopkeepers. Parents walk their children to nearby schools, their conversations turning to clouds of mist in the crisp air. In the bakeries, the scent of fresh, dark rye bread and sweet pastries fills the streets, a warm contrast to the morning chill. This is a modern European society in motion. Young professionals in the technology sector head to work in business parks that look like they could be anywhere from Dublin to Berlin. Factory workers in Kaunas and Klaipėda begin their shifts in facilities that are key links in global supply chains. And in the small towns, a shopkeeper unlocks the door to their family-run store, preparing for another day, serving neighbors they have known their entire lives. This is not a country frozen in time. It is a nation of families, workers, and students, all navigating the complexities of life in a country that is still defining what it means to be modern. As the morning unfolds, the distinct rhythms of Lithuanian life become clear. For a family in a Vilnius suburb, the day is a carefully coordinated schedule of work, school, and after-school activities. The parents might work in finance or IT, their day spent in meetings and in front of screens, while their children are in a modern school, learning in a system completely reshaped since the days of their grandparents. In Kaunas, a university student's day is a mix of lectures in historic university buildings and study sessions in trendy cafes. Their world is one of opportunity and connection, a stark contrast to the more limited horizons of previous generations. Lunch might be a quick, affordable meal at a university canteen. Meanwhile, on the Baltic coast near Klaipėda, a port worker's day is dictated by the arrival and departure of massive cargo ships. Their life is tied to the sea, to the wind and the weather, and to the global currents of trade that flow through this vital port. In a small village in the countryside, The day moves at a slower, more deliberate pace. For an older couple, the morning might be spent tending to their garden, a source of both food and pride. The main meal of the day is often eaten at midday, a hearty and traditional affair. The afternoon might bring a visit from a neighbor or a trip to the local shop. Life is quieter, more self-contained, but also deeply rooted in a sense of place. As evening approaches, these different worlds converge on a shared experience. The return home. Families gather for dinner, homework is completed, and plans are made for the next day. For young people in the cities, the evening might involve meeting friends or going to the gym. For the family in the village, it is a time of quiet and rest, as another ordinary day in Lithuania draws to a close. To understand modern Lithuania, you must first understand Vilnius. This is more than just the nation's capital. It is the engine of its transformation. The city is a magnet, drawing in the young, the ambitious, and the educated from all across the country. They come for the jobs in the booming tech and finance sectors, for the world-class universities, and for the promise of a life that feels connected to the wider world. Life for a young professional in Vilnius is a study in contrasts. They might live in a small, rented apartment in a Soviet-era block, the concrete facades hiding interiors that have often been stylishly renovated. Their commute takes them past the historic Old Town and into a modern business district where gleaming glass towers house international companies. The trade-offs of life in the capital are clear. Salaries are the highest in the country, but so is the cost of living. The search for an affordable apartment is a constant challenge, with rent consuming a significant portion of a young person's income. Traffic can be frustrating, and the pace of life is faster, more competitive. For many, it also means living far from the parents and grandparents they left behind in their hometowns. Yet, for all its challenges, Vilnius represents the future. It is a city of opportunity, a place where a new generation is forging a new Lithuanian identity. Just over an hour's drive from the capital lies Kaunas, a city with its own distinct character. Often seen as Vilnius's rival, Kaunas offers a different vision of urban Lithuanian life. It is a city of students with several major universities giving it a youthful, energetic vibe. It is also a major center for manufacturing and logistics, its factories providing stable employment for thousands of families. Life in Kaunas feels less frantic than in the capital. While it has its own modern business centers and a beautifully preserved city center, the pace is gentler. Housing is more affordable, making it an attractive place for young families to buy their first apartment. The city has a fierce sense of local pride, rooted in its history as the temporary capital of Lithuania between the world wars. A family living in Kaunas might enjoy a lifestyle that feels more balanced. The commute is shorter, the connection to nature is just as strong, and there is a palpable sense of community. It is a city that has managed to modernize without losing its soul, offering a compelling alternative to the high-pressure environment of Vilnius. It is a reminder that Lithuania's story is not just being written in its capital. Moving west, the landscape flattens, the air changes, and the influence of the Baltic Sea becomes undeniable. Klaipėda, Lithuania's third largest city and only seaport, is a place shaped by water. Life here is inextricably linked to the rhythms of the port, to the ships that arrive from all over the world, and to the moody, often grey expanse of the Baltic. For a port worker or a fisherman, the sea is their employer. For a family, living in a coastal neighborhood, it is their backyard. The character of the coast changes dramatically with the seasons. In summer, the city and the nearby resorts of the Curonian Spit come alive with tourists and locals enjoying the long, light-filled evenings on the beach. The atmosphere is festive and open. But in winter, the coast reveals its other face. The wind can be relentless, driving icy rain across the flat landscape. The sea turns a dark, churning grey, and the beaches are empty and windswept. Life draws inward. The sea that provides a livelihood also demands respect. It has forged a unique character in the people who live here, practical, hardy, and deeply connected to the powerful natural forces that define their world. To truly understand the soul of Lithuania, one must leave the cities. In the small towns and villages that dot the countryside, a different reality unfolds. Here, life is lived on a more human scale. Houses are modest, often with large gardens where families grow potatoes, beets, and cucumbers. In autumn, the forests become a communal resource as people head out to forage for mushrooms and berries, a tradition passed down through generations. The advantages of this life are clear. There is a profound sense of peace and quiet, an intimacy with nature impossible to find in the city. The cost of housing can be significantly lower, and the community is tight-knit. Everyone knows everyone, and neighbors still rely on each other. But this life is not an idyllic escape. The challenges are real. Job opportunities are scarce, forcing many young people to leave for the cities or abroad. This has led to an aging population in many rural areas, with grandparents often living far from their children and grandchildren. Services like healthcare and specialized shops can be a long drive away. Life in rural Lithuania is a delicate balance between the comfort of tradition and the persistent pressures of a changing world. The Lithuanian workplace tells the story of the country's economic journey. For the older generation, work might mean a lifetime spent in a single factory or on a collective farm, a world of stability but limited opportunity. For their children and grandchildren, the landscape is unrecognizable. Since joining the European Union in 2004, Lithuania's economy has been remade. The technology sector is booming, with Vilnius becoming a hub for fintech and software development. International companies have set up shared service centers, creating thousands of jobs for multilingual young professionals. Manufacturing remains a cornerstone of the economy, but today's factories are modern facilities producing everything from furniture to high-tech lasers. Logistics and transport are huge industries, taking advantage of Lithuania's strategic location. A young person entering the workforce today has opportunities that were unimaginable 30 years ago. They can work for a global tech giant or start their own business. However, this new economy has also created a divide. The high-paying jobs are concentrated in the major cities, leaving those in smaller towns with fewer options and lower wages. For many visitors, Lithuania can feel remarkably affordable, but for the people who live and work here, the financial reality is more complex. While wages have risen steadily, the cost of living has often risen even faster, particularly since the adoption of the euro. The single biggest expense for many is housing. In Vilnius, renting a modest apartment can easily consume a third or even half of an average monthly salary. Buying an apartment is a major life goal, but soaring property prices have put it out of reach for many young people without family help. After rent, the biggest costs are food and utilities. a weekly trip to the supermarket reveals the pressure of inflation. In winter, heating bills for older, poorly insulated apartments can be shockingly high, a major source of financial stress for pensioners and low-income families. While an IT professional in Vilnius might earn a salary comparable to some in Western Europe, a teacher or a shop assistant in a smaller town faces a much tighter budget. The question of affordability is central to everyday life. It dictates where people can live, what they can buy, and the choices they make for their families. For many Lithuanians, life is a constant calculation, a balancing act between rising aspirations and the real-world cost of achieving them. Nowhere is Lithuania's transformation more visible than in its housing. The skyline of every city is still dominated by Soviet-era apartment blocks, vast neighborhoods of prefabricated concrete panels. For decades, these were the standard of urban living, and today they are still home to a huge portion of the population. Living in one of these buildings means living with the legacy of a different era: small kitchens, inefficient heating systems, and constant struggles for parking. Yet many have been renovated, their drab grey facades covered in bright insulation, their interiors modernized. In stark contrast are the new developments that have sprung up around the cities. Sleek, modern apartment buildings with underground parking and energy-efficient designs cater to the country's growing middle class. In the suburbs, new single-family homes are being built, a sign of a new aspiration for space and privacy. This contrast between old and new is a visual representation of the country's social and economic journey. Home ownership is deeply ingrained in the Lithuanian psyche, a symbol of stability and security after decades of uncertainty. For many, the ultimate dream is to own their own home, a place to put down roots in a country that has been in constant motion. At the heart of Lithuanian life is the family. Despite the pressures of modernization, family ties remain incredibly strong. It is common for multiple generations to live in close proximity, and grandparents often play a vital role in raising their grandchildren, especially when both parents work. Weekends are often family time. A visit to the grandparents' house in the countryside is a cherished ritual. The family escapes the city for a day of fresh air, home-cooked food, and connection. These gatherings are a bridge between generations. A grandmother might prepare a traditional meal of sepelinai, potato dumplings. Her recipes are linked to a past her grandchildren are experiencing in a very different way. There is a profound generational divide. Older Lithuanians carry the memory of the Soviet Union, the shortages, the lack of freedom, the struggle for independence. Their worldview was shaped by hardship. The younger generation has grown up with open borders, smartphones, and the freedom to travel. They are more individualistic and globally connected, but still hold a deep respect for the family and traditions that have anchored their identity. Food in Lithuania is not about fine dining. It is about sustenance, tradition, and family. To understand the country's relationship with food, you go to a supermarket on a weekday afternoon or a local market on a Saturday morning. The shopping cart of a typical family tells a story. It will be filled with dairy products. Kefir, sour cream, and cottage cheese are staples. There will be dark rye bread, a dense, flavorful loaf that is the foundation of many meals. Potatoes, of course, are central to the cuisine. In summer, the cart will be overflowing with fresh local vegetables. In winter, with root vegetables and pickled goods. Cooking at home is the norm. A family dinner is a simple, hearty affair, often a soup followed by a main course of meat or fish with potatoes. Food is deeply connected to the seasons. Summer brings an abundance of fresh berries, eaten fresh or made into jams. Autumn is the season for mushroom foraging, a national pastime. The forest floor yields a bounty that is brought home and preserved, a taste of the forest that will last through the long, cold months. To live in Lithuania is to live in a state of profound seasonal change. Winter is not just a season, it is a state of being that fundamentally alters the rhythm of life. The darkness is the first thing you notice. In the depths of winter, the sun rises late and sets early, casting the country in a prolonged twilight. People go to work in the dark and come home in the dark. The cold is a constant presence. The sound of winter is the crunch of snow underfoot, the hum of central heating systems working overtime. Life moves indoors. Cafes become warm, cozy refugees. Homes become sanctuaries. Social life becomes more intimate, centered around gatherings in people's houses. The winter demands a certain resilience. It affects people's mood and energy levels, but Lithuanians are adapted to it. They dress in warm layers, drink hot tea, and find ways to embrace the season, from ice skating to cross-country skiing. And they do it all with a quiet understanding that this too shall pass, and that the darkness is just a prelude to the return of the light. And when the light returns, it does so with a vengeance. Lithuanian summer is a joyous, almost frantic celebration of life. The days become incredibly long, with the sun not setting until late in the evening, bathing the country in a soft, golden light. The entire country seems to move outdoors. The outdoor terraces of cafes and bars in Vilnius and Kaunas are packed. The forests, now a vibrant electric green, are filled with hikers and cyclists. The thousands of lakes that dot the countryside become centers of social life, with families swimming, boating, and grilling by the water's edge. For many families, summer means escaping to a countryside home or a small cabin by a lake. It is a time to reconnect with nature, to tend to the garden, to live a simpler, slower life. After the long, dark winter, the summer feels like a gift, a precious and fleeting period of warmth and light that is cherished all the more for its brevity. This dramatic seasonal shift is perhaps the most fundamental rhythm of Lithuanian life. In Lithuania, nature is not something you visit on vacation. It is woven into the fabric of everyday life. Even for those living in the biggest cities, the forest is never far away. A short drive is all it takes to be surrounded by towering pines and serene lakes. This easy access to nature shapes people's lives and leisure time. A weekend might be spent at a family's sodyba, a countryside homestead, where the main activities are gardening, fishing, and sweating in a traditional sauna before plunging into a cold lake. The relationship with the forest is particularly deep. It is a place of recreation, but also a source of food. The traditions of mushroom and berry picking are not quaint hobbies. They are a serious and beloved part of the culture. In autumn, the forests are full of people, baskets in hand, searching for chanterelles and porcini mushrooms. This connection to the land is a powerful part of the national identity. To sit in a kitchen with an older Lithuanian is to hear a story of almost unimaginable change. This is the generation that remembers the Soviet Union not as a chapter in a history book, but as the reality of their daily lives. They remember the queues for basic goods, the lack of choice, the restrictions on travel and speech. They also remember the fight for independence in the early 1990s and the difficult, chaotic years that followed, with hyperinflation and economic uncertainty. When they look at Lithuania today, they see a world transformed. They see supermarkets filled with goods from all over the world, their grandchildren studying abroad, the freedom to start a business, to criticize the government, to travel freely within the European Union. For this generation, modern Lithuania is not something to be taken for granted. It is a hard-won achievement, a testament to the resilience of a nation that refused to have its future dictated by others. For young Lithuanians, the world of their grandparents is distant history. They are the EU generation. Their reality has been shaped by the internet, low-cost airlines, and a sense of being part of a wider European community. They switch effortlessly between Lithuanian and English, follow global trends, and see their future in an international context. Their aspirations are similar to those of young people across Europe. They want a fulfilling career, the opportunity to travel, and a comfortable home. They are ambitious, well-educated, and the driving force behind the country's economic modernization. They are also deeply patriotic. While they feel European, they are fiercely proud of their Lithuanian identity, their unique language, and their culture. They are a generation that is looking forward, not back, confident in their ability to build a future for themselves in a country that has finally taken its place on the European stage. For 2 decades, one of the defining stories of Lithuanian life has been emigration. Following the country's entry into the EU, hundreds of thousands of Lithuanians left in search of higher wages, moving to countries like the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Norway. This mass exodus has left a deep mark on the country. Nearly every family has a relative living abroad. It has reshaped communities, leaving some small towns with an aging population. It has created a generation of children who communicate with their parents via video call. Their main connection to home a visit during the summer holidays. The decision to leave is never easy. It is a trade-off, sacrificing the comfort of home and family for the promise of a better financial future. The money sent home by emigrants has been a vital lifeline for many families, helping to pay for renovations and education. But it has come at a human cost, a quiet sense of loss that permeates many aspects of Lithuanian life. In recent years, however, a new story has begun to emerge. The story of return. As Lithuania's economy has grown and salaries have risen, the economic gap with Western Europe has narrowed. For some emigrants, the pull of home is becoming stronger than the lure of a higher paycheck abroad. They return for many reasons. They miss their families. They want their children to grow up speaking Lithuanian and be close to their grandparents. They find that the quality of life in Lithuania, with its easy access to nature, safe cities, and strong sense of community, is something that money cannot buy. The Lithuania they return to is often a very different country from the one they left. The job market is more dynamic, especially in the cities. There is a new sense of optimism. For these returning emigrants, coming home is a conscious choice, a decision that after years abroad, the best place to build a future is, after all, the place where their story began. The education system is the pathway to the new Lithuania. From a young age, children are enrolled in a system that emphasizes a broad academic curriculum. Getting a child into a top-rated gymnasium in Vilnius or Kaunas is a major priority for ambitious parents. The dream for many is for their children to attend university. The universal healthcare system is a source of both pride and frustration. In the major cities, there are modern hospitals and clinics with highly trained doctors. However, in rural areas, access to specialized care can be difficult, and waiting times for certain procedures can be long. It is a system that works, but one that also shows the strains of an aging population and limited resources. To understand Lithuania, you must understand the importance of the Lithuanian language. It is one of the oldest living languages in the world, a source of immense national pride. In a region dominated by Slavic and Germanic languages, Lithuanian has survived for centuries against the odds, a testament to the tenacity of the people who speak it. The language is the bedrock of the national identity. It is the language of the home, of the schools, of the government. While most young people speak excellent English and many older people speak Russian, Lithuanian is the language of the heart. It is through their language, folk songs, and traditions that Lithuanians have maintained a powerful sense of who they are, a small nation with a strong and resilient cultural soul. Lithuania's location on the map is not just a geographical fact, it is a lived reality. Bordering Latvia, Poland, Belarus, and the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad, Lithuanians have always lived with a keen awareness of their neighborhood. History has taught them to be wary, and the geopolitical tensions of the 21st century are felt deeply here. Membership in NATO and the European Union is not an abstract political concept. It is seen as a fundamental guarantee of the country's security and independence. For ordinary people, this geopolitical reality is not a topic of daily conversation, but it forms a quiet backdrop to their lives. It shapes their sense of identity as a nation on the eastern frontier of the Western world, and reinforces their commitment to the democratic values they fought so hard to regain. Life in Lithuania is not without its difficulties. The rising cost of living, particularly housing and energy, is a major concern for many families. The gap in wages and opportunities between the major cities and the rest of the country remains a significant challenge. The country is also facing a demographic crisis, with a low birth rate and an aging population putting pressure on social security and healthcare systems. And while the economy has grown, many people still feel that their standard of living lags behind that of their Western European counterparts. There is a sense that while life is good, it could be better, a quiet frustration that fuels both personal ambition and political debate. So, with all the challenges, why do people stay? Why do they choose to build their lives in this small Baltic nation? For some, the answer is simple. This is home. It is the land of their ancestors, the place where their memories were made. It is the sound of their language, the taste of their food, the familiar sight of a birch forest. For others, the reasons are more practical. They see a country that is developing rapidly, offering new opportunities for those who are willing to work for them. They see a place that is safe, clean, and family-friendly, a good place to raise children. And for many, it is about a quality of life that is becoming increasingly rare in the modern world. It is the ability to escape the city and be in a pristine forest in 30 minutes. It is the deep peace of a summer evening by a lake. It is the unbreakable bond of family and the comfort of a community where you are known. To live in Lithuania is to be part of a quiet, resilient, and deeply moving story of transformation. A story of a people who have weathered the storms of history to build a future on their own terms, in the place they will always call home.